What if you could experience watercolour painting without the limitations of paper? Ampersand Aquabord combines an absorbent clay surface with the stability of a rigid panel, allowing artists to create watercolour paintings without buckling, warping, stretching, or the need to frame work behind glass. In this video, Elaine Salazar explores what makes Aquabord so unique and how artists are using it to push watercolour in new directions.
Hi, my name is Elaine Salazar. I'm the President and CEO of Ampersand Art Supply, and I'm excited to be here at Bromleys to talk to the wonderful people here about the different Ampersand boards that we're going to be covering today. Okay, so Aquabord is also a clay-coated panel that has these fine sizing in it that works very much like a cold pressed paper. You can work both wet into wet or wet into dry. So I'm going to just show you how this, unlike clay board that is quite slippery like hot press paper, this board works a lot more like a typical watercolor paper. So you'll see how this lays the surface down. So you'll see the transition washes that you can get with this board. Or some artists really like to actually lay water down on the board and let all that air come out of the board. That's just like a sizing. And you let it kind of get to the damp stage. I'm just showing how many artists work with this board very differently. Ali Kavanaugh works wet into dry. Karen Vernon likes to let all of this air come out of the board, and then they come in with their washes. It's just depending on what you're trying to do. Can you come in? So very much works like a cold pressed paper. You will see some fizzing that happens every once in a while on the board, but just let that sort of lay flat for a while, and then you're going to start being able to layer. But the advantage of Aquabord is the following. Once your board is actually dry, like you're seeing here on this, once the paint is actually, it's really wonderful for glazing. So I can come back in with another color on top. Mess up my color here. And just see how I'm able to glaze right on top of the color that's laid down. So the key here for Aquabord is ensuring that the color underneath is actually dried completely before you start. Because then you can come back in at any point in time and you can use a lifting brush to lift out. I can come back and lift the veining on the board, on the leaf here. This has been dry for a long time, but I can still come back and see I can lift. When you're lifting, you want to lift and deposit the paint you're taking off of the board onto like a damp paper towel, onto a blotter. Even these boards that we laid color on, again, let it dry and then you can come back and lift. You can actually take the Aquabord and put it underneath the kitchen sink, and with a very light sponge, just wash. You may get some ghosting of some of those colors that are very staining, but you can typically get back to put it close to the white. So what that allows you to do is at any point in time, you bring light back into the painting. You don't have to use masking fluids. You can do work like this. This is a piece by Karen Vernon. Look at all of the veining. That's been all lifted out, and then with the transparent color coming up over the areas that have been lifted out. Been able to come back and lift all of this back to white. But you can also get these fabulous wash shift bags that are very typical of watercolor brushes. So you can work very detailed and you can work very washy on the board. And I don't know if you noticed this, but the color on Aquabord is going to be much brighter than it is on a paper. Why? Because paper absorbs light, whereas on a rigid board, the light actually reflects off the board, so you're going to get much more luminous color. This happens with oil painters. Now watercolors can have the same impact that the oil painters know how to work on rigid boards. But the best thing of all is once this piece is done, it actually just put a fixative on it and you don't have to frame it under glass. So artists in the United States are getting about 50% more in their galleries because their work is out from under glass. It's a big advantage for the watercolor community working on Aquabord.
From ultra-smooth painting surfaces to watercolour panels and specialist mixed media boards, there's a lot more to explore in the Ampersand range. Watch the rest of this series for an in-depth look at each surface, or visit Bromleys to shop the full collection. And of course, a huge thank you to Elaine Salazar for joining us and showing just how versatile Ampersand panels can be.